going on, YouTube? It's your boy E to the A to the Y, back with another reaction video. Now, I'm not sure if you guys caught the wait. Before we get into this, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Just helps me make, original dope content. Those of you who's been responding to the comments, watching, interacting, I appreciate you guys. There was a big debate about who's the GOAT, and I think that debate would always live on, mostly because we all coming from different generations. So, I think that's most important. But yeah, now this particular video, I don't know if y'all watched, but I spoke on James Harden not working the very first day I found out he was trading to LA. I've been told you guys that you'll see Kawhi Leonard's face. He's going to start trying to get James Harden, phase James Harden out. Then eventually James Harden going to be traded. And if you've been watching these games lately, the last two games, you see it's happening. They're starting to lose games that they're supposed to be winning. And of course, you don't want to put the entire blame on James Harden just losing. But that chemistry, to have James Harden on that floor is really daunting. With James Harden on the floor, the field goal efficiency drops down by 10. I think with him on the floor, off the floor, it goes up 15. Now that speaks a lot. I watched the James Harden play last night. He didn't take that many shots or try to control the pace of the game. He was more so playing as a point guard and not a shooting guard that takes a lot of the shots, which is kind of exciting, especially for the Clippers, Kawhi, Paul George. But there's a James Harden act or effect, I should say, that happens on every team he goes on. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys today about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Just helps me make dope content, show some love. But let's get into it. I created a little video for you guys to watch. Let's get right into it. So James Harden on the Rockets had an amazing team, and Dwight Howard is when Dwight Howard was still in his prime. He also had Westbrook in the middle of time, and also Chris Paul. A lot of people don't remember the Chris Paul Rockets. So yeah, he wore a lot of hats. He had a lot of, good players on his team. It just didn't work. You see here with the Nets, he has someone, some people say a fat suit. He did a little more chubbier. But yeah, on the Rockets, he was a dominant scorer, but he was a selfish one-off player. He can't be a part of a system. He is a system. That just goes on to show that he is a one-off player. In order for you to win championship in today's league, you need multiple stars that can do multiple things and help out the team in multiple ways. James Harden always been a selfish player, especially when he developed from the OKC days with him and Durant and Westbrook. When KD left, it didn't work with Harden and Westbrook at that time when they was younger, a lot more into the league, being that James Harden wanted a bigger role, being that he just won Sixth Man of the Year. He wanted the bigger roles, being that KD left, and Westbrook, basically being Westbrook. So James Harden was traded to Houston. That's when his career took off. He was averaging the second player after Kobe to average over 32 points a game for the Rockets, as you can see here. So yeah, his field goal percentages, his assists, all went up, and then Dwight Howard joined the team. He played, like I said, with arguably three of the best at their position, being in Dwight Howard when we was calling him Superman, Chris Paul when Chris Paul was still fresh right off the Clippers. So everybody projected them to go as further than they went, but the James Harden effect. This is why we call it James Harden effect. If you don't trade this person, it's not going to work. So because he knew he was the franchise player for the Rockets, he made 80% of the front office decisions about who he wants to play with. So every time he doesn't like how a player is playing with him, he just goes to the front office like, hey, if you don't get rid of this player, I'm going to request a trade. And at that time, James Harden was on fire. So yeah, he probably could have went to maybe any team at that point. So of course, the front office being the front office, they traded Dwight Howard, they traded Chris Paul, they traded Westbrook. All James Harden had to do was make it seem like they were the problem at that particular time to get rid of them. So James Harden had never took the blame for anything. He always puts the blame on somebody else. And that's what makes it the James Harden effect. So now, moving on, he gets traded to the Nets, Brooklyn, where he's playing alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Durant, fresh off Golden State, was his championship run. In all tip-top fashion, everybody thought this was a team that was going to win the East. This was a team that was going to win at least one championship, being the best three stars together after Miami, with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. So everybody had this team on the East, Brooklyn, winning the East at least. But this is where things turn bad. James Harden in his fat suit. And I'm not sure if you guys been to New York, but New York is a party city, right? You can party all night, 24/7, because there's always a party going on. It's always something to do. Not like other places to where certain hours of the night you cannot find not even a decent burger. And this is where he started to gain weight, which affected ultimately his play, how he played, how he performed. And once he started not to play as good, he started to put the blame. First it was on Kyrie. Kyrie Irving wasn't efficient. This is where Kyrie. And what's so crazy about that particular year, Kyrie Irving played 63 games that year. James Harden only played 58 due to injury. So how could you place blame on another player where 40-45% of the chance you wasn't present. Once the blame started to come on Kyrie, it became apparent James Harden wanted out. He started missing practices, he started missing games, and overall it just wasn't effective. Kevin Durant being KD, aka the Reaper, he decided he wanted out too. Now everybody know, because KD has been so efficient in scoring throughout these years, he was able to find a better good deal, which I think is better than probably after Golden State, the best team he's been on. Like the best pure team he's been on. They mesh. With Golden State, I didn't think they mesh as well. They just knew how to play basketball. This team, you see the difference with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, amazing talent over there out in Phoenix. Going back to James Harden act, this is where he starts to talk. Hey, I'm requesting a trade. You guys need to get me out of here. So he gets traded to 76ers. Now, everybody to play how they wanted and still get the minutes. So let's speak on Joel Embiid. We all know Joel Embiid is arguably one of the best centers in this league right now. If he's not the first, he's the second. He's unstoppable on offense, and he makes it look so easy. We all wondered if Joel Embiid worked as hard as Giannis worked, as we see Giannis works. We could say Joel Embiid is probably the best center to play the game. But because he doesn't have any work ethic, he doesn't work on his body. He doesn't work on a lot of things, but he does work on the offense. He still has some growing to do. But he still could give you 40, 50 points on any given night, doing any sorts of dribbling moves, shot fakes, and everything else that goes along. But back to James Harden, I felt like James Harden was the best fit for James Harden out in Philly. Being Embiid and a point guard like Maxey, and a pure point guard at that time, Tyrese Maxey was, that gave James Harden free reign to be James Harden. But then the losses started to come. Then it showed in a playoff run, and James Harden last game, he had 9 points, shooting 3 for 11, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. That was the loss in a playoff game versus the Celtics in Game 7. From then, you sense trouble. I mean, before that, if you watch the games, you would see it was already a little bit of, back and forth with Joel and James. But Joel, which I give him so much credit for being a professional that he is, never really displayed it or mentioned it. But then I believe it has something to do with money. I think James Harden took a pay cut coming to 76ers, and in return, they promised to give him the money back. And I guess the contract never changed. That forced James Harden to go to China, which, because he was on a promotion run for his new deal with, I think it's Reebok. He mentioned, I remember his name is Daryl Mooney or Maury, something like that he's a liar. Now, if anybody remembers, that same person had issues with China in the past. So it was evident what was going on. But James Harden knew how to get out that situation because he knew to attack the weakest link. So now James Harden found himself on the Clippers. And I mean, last night they played well. But ultimately, you start to see and see the face of the players and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on their face of this was a bad move. So that's the James Harden effect. He goes to teams, mind you, he's been on 5 teams. He goes to teams and find the weakest thing to say, hey, this person is why I went out. Or this is the reason why I went out. Because this is still basketball at the end of the day, you still gotta give respect and props when it's due. James Harden was an animal. He was MVP. He got one MVP, a 6-man award. He was a monster. Right? So everybody wanted that James Harden because we've seen this so many times. Everybody wanted that. Everybody thought bringing him onto the team, we would get that out of him. But sadly, after the Rockets, which his last game with the Rockets, he had 16 points, 5 for 6, 1 for 6 from 3, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and lost to the Lakers by 23 points. 17 points. You know what I mean? So think about it. Every team he goes to, he cries and they say, hey, this person, I'm not working with this person, and they try their best to get him out of there. Can this happen on this Clippers team? No, he'll be the one traded. We all know that's Kawhi's team. Well, Paul George, 1 or 2 behind. We all know that. We see the changes that them two make. And I think, honestly, they play so well together. I think all they need for that team, honestly, this is before Westbrook came, was an efficient big man that could play down low and gives you blocks, rebounding, and maybe a little bit scoring. And that'll be one of the complete teams in the NBA. They thought Westbrook would have added that fire after it didn't work for Westbrook out in Los Angeles. In which he did, in a sense. Everybody thought it didn't work. It's working to a further extent. They still have some issues, but it's related to game performances or game plays and not really anything personal. We all felt the same way about James Harden coming to the Clippers. So the first 3 games didn't go as good. But last night, watching him play last night, he picked it up against Denver. He didn't shoot as much, and then he can try to control the game. but still was effective. I like that part of James Harden. He played more of a point guard, just trying to get everyone involved. I like that more James Harden than him trying to be a scorer. I think James Harden is starting to realize now he's not going to go to another team because nobody's going to really want him. Even though I think nobody really wanted him after Philly. But I guess he has friends that made some calls and they spoke. Because James Harden, if you watched him last night against Denver, a complete different player. It's crazy. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I know we've been going back and forth about who's the GOAT between LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe. I'm looking forward to any comments you guys may have, concerns you may have. Let me know. I address them. But until then, it's your boy 8. Why?